First contact. The storm had finally subsided, leaving the research outpost on Proxima 6 covered in a thick layer of purple-tinted frost. Dr. Eliza Valerian adjusted her thermal gear as she stepped out into the alien landscape, her breath forming clouds in the frigid air. After 16 months on this remote planet, the novelty of its bizarre climate patterns had worn off, replaced by a comfortable routine of research, data collection, and the occasional message from Earth. Systems check complete, Dr. Valerian. External temperature holding at -42°C, announced the AI assistant through her comm unit. Recommend limiting exposure to 90 minutes maximum. Noted. Day. Keep an eye on those atmospheric readings. The storm might have stirred up some of the methane pockets in the northern quadrant. Eliza trudged through the crystalline frost toward the equipment shed where her colleague, Dr. Marcus Chen, was running diagnostics on their survey drones. As the senior xenobiologist on this two-person expedition, she'd learned to appreciate Marcus's methodical approach to their work, even if his obsession with equipment maintenance sometimes bordered on excessive. "Morning, Liz," Marcus called out as she entered, his dark eyes focused on the drone's circuitry. "Think you'll want to see this." He gestured toward his tablet displaying a series of unusual energy readings. "What am I looking at?" "Something broke atmosphere about 3 hours ago. Too small for a proper ship. Might be an escape pod or survey vessel. Crashed about 12 kilometers northeast in the Crimson Valley." Eliza's pulse quickened. In 16 months, they'd documented hundreds of indigenous life forms, but there had been no signs of intelligent species or visitors. "Any distress signals?" "Nothing conventional, but there's a strange electromagnetic pattern coming from the crash site. Could be technology we're not familiar with." After a brief debate about protocols and potential first contact scenarios, they loaded their rover with emergency medical supplies and scientific equipment. The journey to the Crimson Valley took nearly an hour, winding through Proxima 6's jagged landscape of crystalline formations and deep crimson soil that gave the region its name. The crash site came into view as they crested a ridge, a sleek silver vessel half buried in the red earth, its hull smoking slightly despite the freezing temperatures. Unlike human ships, this craft had an organic quality to it, almost like the exoskeleton of some enormous insect. "Definitely not human," Marcus murmured, activating his scanner. Picking up one life sign. Weak but steady. Approaching with caution, they located what appeared to be a hatch on the vessel's side. After several minutes of examination, Eliza discovered a depression that responded to pressure. The hatch slid open with a hiss of escaping atmosphere, revealing a dimly lit interior. Inside, slumped against a control panel, was an alien being. Tall and slender, with silvery blue skin and a ridge of what looked like flexible spines running from the crown of its head down its back. Its face was strikingly humanoid, with two large pupilless eyes that shimmered like opals, a small nose, and full lips set in a pained grimace. Instead of hair, a crown of delicate tendrils framed its face, moving slightly as if in a gentle current. "Female, I think," Eliza whispered, her trained eye noting the creature's physiology. "Some kind of exoskeletal elements, but primarily mammalian characteristics." The alien's eyes fluttered open at the sound of Eliza's voice, focusing with alarming intensity. It spoke, a series of clicks and melodic tones that AI couldn't translate. "We're scientists," Eliza said slowly, making calming gestures with her hands. "We want to help you." The alien struggled to rise but fell back with a pained sound. The dark, iridescent fluid, blood, presumably, seeped from a wound on its side. "She's injured," Eliza said. "We need to get her back to the outpost." "Are you sure that's wise?" Marcus asked, his voice low. "We know nothing about this species. Could be dangerous." Eliza was already preparing a temporary field dressing. "Look at the technology level of this ship. If they wanted to harm us, they could have sent more than a single injured individual in a damaged vessel." With Marcus's reluctant help, they carefully moved the alien to their rover. Throughout the journey back, The creature drifted in and out of consciousness, occasionally making those melodic sounds that seemed increasingly like attempts at communication. At the outpost, they set up an improvised medical bay in the biology lab, where Eliza could monitor the alien's vital signs. Using the xenobiology scanner, she determined that the wound was serious but not immediately life-threatening. The alien's biology was remarkably adaptable, already working to repair the damage. By evening, the alien was conscious enough to attempt communication again. IDA's linguistics program began to identify patterns in the sounds, eventually constructing a rudimentary translation matrix. "I am Kirilla." The alien managed through the translator, her voice rendered in a melodic, slightly synthetic tone. "Warrior of the Seraphim Hegemony. I'm Dr. Eliza Valerian, and this is Dr. Marcus Chen. We're human scientists from Earth." Kirilla's opalescent eyes widened slightly. "Humans. We have heard of your kind. Aggressive expansionists with primitive technology, but unusual adaptability." Marcus raised an eyebrow at this assessment, but remained silent. "What happened to your ship?" Eliza asked. "Ambush. Vrex raiders. I escaped, but my vessel was damaged." Kirilla shifted uncomfortably, then fixed her gaze on Marcus with unsettling intensity. "How many males in your settlement?" The question caught Eliza off guard. "Just Dr. Chen here. We're a small research team." Something like alarm flickered across Kirilla's alien features. "Only one male. In this entire region. The nearest human settlement is on Proxima 4, about 3 weeks' journey from here," Eliza explained, puzzled by the alien's fixation. Kirilla closed her eyes, her body tensing. "This is problematic. I must leave soon. Contact my people." "You're injured," Eliza said, "and your ship is severely damaged. You need time to recover." "Time is precisely what I do not have," Kirilla replied, her translator conveying a tone of grim resignation. "I am in the early phase of the ascension cycle. It is why I was targeted. The Vrex know our vulnerabilities." "Ascension cycle?" Marcus asked. "A biological imperative. Reproductive. Powerful. It cannot be denied or delayed." Kirilla's eyes fixed on Marcus again with that unsettling intensity. "In 3 of your Earth days, I will enter full ascension. Without a compatible mate, the neurotoxins released by my own body will cause a cascading organ failure." Eliza felt a chill that had nothing to do with Proxima 6's weather. "And if you do find a compatible mate, then the ascension energy is channeled appropriately. Both survive. New life may form." Kirilla's tendrils rippled in what might have been embarrassment. "I did not plan to be stranded among aliens during my cycle." "Can humans even be compatible?" Marcus asked, voice tight with concern. Kirilla's gaze intensified. "Your species is known for its genetic adaptability. It is possible." Eliza could see Marcus's discomfort growing by the second. This wasn't just a scientific discovery anymore. It was a potential crisis with ethical dimensions they had never prepared for. "We'll help you contact your people," Eliza said firmly. "Our communication array can be modified to reach quite far. Perhaps one of your kind can reach us before your condition becomes critical." Kirilla nodded slowly, but her eyes remained fixed on Marcus, with an intensity that made the small research outpost suddenly feel much smaller. As night fell on Proxima 6, Eliza worked frantically in the lab, analyzing samples of Kirilla's blood and tissue. If they couldn't contact the Seraphim in time, they needed to understand exactly what they were dealing with, and hopefully find a way to help Kirilla survive without compromising anyone's safety or autonomy. But the aliens' biology was complex beyond anything in their databases, and time was quickly running out. Dangerous biology. The second day brought an unsettling shift in Kirilla's behavior. Her previously stoic demeanor gave way to restless pacing and intense staring, particularly when Marcus entered the room. The tendrils framing her face had darkened to a deep indigo and seemed perpetually in motion, like seaweed in a current. "Her body temperature has increased by 2 degrees since this morning. Eliza reported, studying the biomonitor readings, and her neurochemical patterns are showing increasing instability. Marcus stood at the far end of the lab, deliberately maintaining distance from their alien guest. Any luck with the communications array? Eliza shook her head. The storm damaged our long-range transmitter. IDA estimates 3 days for repairs, and that's assuming we have all the necessary parts. Which we don't, Marcus said grimly. And Kirella said she has, 3 days before this ascension thing reaches critical stage. 2 days now, Kirilla interjected, her translator conveying her melodic voice with crystal clarity. I can feel the changes accelerating. The first phase is heightened awareness of potential mates, her opalescent eyes fixed on Marcus again, unblinking. The second phase is chemical production and physical preparation. The third phase is, she made a sound the translator couldn't process, something between a musical note and a growl. And there's really no way to, I don't know, suppress it? Marcus asked. Humans have medications for hormonal issues. The ascension is not merely hormonal, Kirilla explained, her tendrils rippling with what might have been irritation. It is a quantum biological process. My cellular structure is beginning to resonate at frequencies that will eventually tear my body apart if not channeled correctly. Eliza frowned at the readings on her tablet. According to these scans, she's right. There's something happening at the quantum level in her cells. It's like they're building up a charge that needs to be discharged. And I'm the lightning rod, Marcus said, not bothering to hide his unease. I would not force any being, Kirilla said, her translator somehow conveying dignity, despite the clinical discussion of her biology. But the ascension will soon override my conscious control. If a solution is not found, I should be restrained or, she hesitated, terminated, if necessary. Nobody's terminating anybody, Eliza said firmly. We're scientists. We'll find a scientific solution. That afternoon, while Kirilla meditated in an attempt to slow her body's processes, Eliza and Marcus pored over the data they'd collected on seraphim biology. Her cells are producing this compound. Eliza pointed to a molecule on the screen. It's similar to human oxytocin, but with these additional structures that seem to enable quantum entanglement between cells. So it's both a hormone and a quantum transmission medium, Marcus mused. Fascinating. But how does that help us? Eliza chewed her lip thoughtfully. What if we could create a synthetic receptor? Something that could absorb and channel the quantum energy she's producing without requiring, well, actual mating. Marcus brightened. Like a quantum energy sink. Exactly. Her body is producing a specific kind of energy that needs to be transferred to a compatible receiver. If we could build that receiver artificially. They worked through the night, combining their knowledge of xenobiology with the limited data they had on quantum cellular processes. By morning, they had designed a prototype, a device that theoretically could absorb and neutralize the quantum energy Kirella's body was producing. But morning also brought a disturbing development. Kirella's condition had deteriorated rapidly. Her silver-blue skin now pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and the lab's sensors detected powerful electromagnetic fields emanating from her body. The device isn't ready, Marcus said, voice tight with stress. We need at least another day to calibrate it properly. She doesn't have another day, Eliza replied, watching as Kirella thrashed in her sleep, tendrils whipping violently. Look at these readings. Her core temperature is rising dangerously, and these energy spikes are getting stronger. When Kirella woke, there was a noticeable change in her eyes. The opalescent quality had intensified to an almost hypnotic glow, and her translator struggled to properly convey her increasingly fragmented speech. The calling begins, she managed, her body arching in what appeared to be pain. Can't control much longer. Must find isolation chamber. They moved her to the outpost's secure storage room, the only space with walls thick enough to contain whatever energy she might release. Marcus stayed outside, continuing work on the quantum energy sink, while Eliza monitored Kirella from within, protected by her hazmat suit. "I'm sorry," Kirilla gasped between spasms of pain. "Your species, your scientist male. He is kind. I would not force him. Not our way." "We know," Eliza assured her. "And we're going to help you through this without anyone being forced into anything." As the day progressed, Kirilla's condition worsened dramatically. The electromagnetic pulses from her body grew strong enough to interfere with the outpost's electronics, causing systems to flicker and fail randomly. Her skin now glowed with a bright blue light, and the tendrils on her head had extended to twice their normal length, writhing with a life of their own. "The device is ready for testing," Marcus announced over the comm, his voice barely audible through the interference. "But I'm not sure how to get it to her safely. These energy pulses are knocking out everything electronic within 10 meters of her." Eliza looked at the suffering alien, a plan forming in her mind. "We need to get the device to make direct contact with her skin." "I'll take it in." "That's too dangerous," Marcus protested. "Your suit won't protect you from those energy discharges." "We're out of options," Eliza replied, watching as Kirilla convulsed again, the walls of the storage room actually vibrating with the force of the energy she was releasing. "If we do nothing, she dies, and possibly takes half the outpost with her." After a tense argument, Marcus reluctantly passed the quantum sync device, a sleek silver cylinder about the size of a water bottle, through the airlock to Eliza. Inside the storage room, the air crackled with visible energy, making Eliza's hair stand on end, despite her protective gear. Kirilla lay in the center of the room, her body arched in pain, surrounded by a corona of blue-white energy. "Kirilla," Eliza called, her voice barely audible over the humming energy. "We have something that might help. I need to place it against your skin." The alien's eyes snapped open, glowing with an unearthly light. "Dangerous. For you," she managed, her translator barely functioning. "The calling seeks the male." "I know, but we've created a substitute, something that can receive the energy you're producing without harming anyone." Kirilla's eyes focused with visible effort. "Clever humans. Always finding new paths." Steeling herself, Eliza approached, feeling the increasing pressure of the energy field against her body. The closer she got, the more her suit's systems malfunctioned, warnings flashing across her visor until they too failed. 5 steps from Kirilla, Eliza felt the first discharge, a jolt of energy that numbed her left arm completely. 4 steps, and her breathing apparatus faltered, forcing her to rely on the room's atmosphere. 3 steps, and the pain began, like needles all over her skin. At 2 steps away, Eliza stumbled as a powerful surge knocked her off balance. The quantum sync slipped from her grasp, rolling just out of reach. As she lunged for it, a massive discharge of energy erupted from Kirilla's body, engulfing the room in blinding light. The last thing Eliza heard before losing consciousness was the sound of the storage room door being forced open, and Marcus calling her name. The human solution. Eliza awoke to the steady beep of medical monitoring equipment and the concerned face of Marcus hovering over her. "Welcome back," he said, relief evident in his voice. "You've been unconscious for almost 14 hours. "Kirilla?" Eliza asked, her throat dry. "Stable, thanks to you." Marcus helped her sit up and take a sip of water. The quantum sync worked, more or less. It absorbed enough of the energy to break the cycle and give her body a chance to reset. Eliza glanced across the medical bay where Kirilla lay sleeping, her skin once again a calm silver blue, the wild tendrils now placid around her face. "What happened after I passed out?" Marcus looked away briefly, a flush creeping into his cheeks. "When I saw you fall, I didn't think, just reacted. Ran in, grabbed the device, and pressed it against her skin. There was this intense flash, like a miniature sun going supernova. Next thing I knew, we were all unconscious, but the energy readings had stabilized." Eliza's eyes widened. "You exposed yourself directly to the energy field, without any protection." "Marcus, that could have killed you. He shrugged, trying for nonchalance but not quite succeeding. Calculated risk. The way I figured it, if the sync worked, it would start absorbing energy immediately and reduce the field's intensity. If it didn't, well, then we'd all have been in trouble anyway. Before Eliza could respond, Kirella stirred, her opalescent eyes opening slowly. "The humans live," she said, her translator once again functioning properly. "As do I. Your device. It was effective." "Partially effective," Marcus corrected, moving to check her vital signs. "It absorbed enough energy to break the critical phase of your cycle, but according to our readings, your body is still producing the quantum resonance compounds, just at a lower level." Kirella nodded, sitting up with unexpected grace for someone who had been near death. "The ascension cycle cannot be truly halted once begun, only channeled. Your device has given me time. Perhaps enough for my people to respond to the distress signal we sent." "Distress signal?" Eliza asked. "But our communications array is down." "Not anymore," Marcus said with a hint of pride. "While you were unconscious, I managed to repair it using some components from Kirella's ship. We broadcast on frequencies she provided. Got a response almost immediately. Apparently, the Seraphim have been searching for her since her disappearance. A rescue vessel will arrive within 26 hours. Kirella's tendrils rippled in what Eliza now recognized as an expression of relief. "My people will be grateful for your assistance. Humans are." She paused, searching for the right word. "Unexpected. Your solutions are unorthodox, innovative. We make do with what we have," Eliza said simply. Over the next day, as they waited for the Seraphim vessel, Kirella's strength returned steadily. The quantum sync required regular recalibration as her body continued to produce the resonance compounds, but the crisis had passed. During this time, she shared more about her culture and biology, fascinated by the human scientific approach to a problem her own people treated as purely biological destiny. "In our history, there are no records of artificial resonance channeling," she explained. "The ascension cycle has always been viewed as a sacred bond between compatible beings. The idea of using technology to manage it, many would consider it blasphemous. But effective," Marcus pointed out. "And it preserved your autonomy and ours." Kirella's eyes shimmered thoughtfully. "Perhaps this is why humans are both feared and respected across the galaxy. You see no boundaries between technology and biology, between what is and what could be. You simply solve problems, even those we consider unsolvable." The Seraphim rescue vessel arrived precisely when expected, a massive organic-looking ship that dwarfed Kirella's damaged craft. 3 Seraphim, tall and elegant like Kirella, but with variations in their skin tones and tendrils, arrived at the outpost. Their leader, a Seraphim with deep blue skin and silver-tipped tendrils, examined the quantum sync with obvious astonishment. "You created this from scratch, with no prior knowledge of Seraphim biology?" he asked, his translator conveying disbelief. "We had Kirella's samples to work from," Eliza explained modestly, "and a lot of motivation to find a solution quickly." The Seraphim leader exchanged glances with his companions. "Our scientists have studied the ascension cycle for generations without developing such a device. We have always believed the process could only be resolved through biological means." "Sometimes an outside perspective helps," Marcus suggested. "When you're not bound by traditional thinking, you can see solutions that might otherwise be overlooked." Before departing, Kirella approached Eliza and Marcus privately. "My people wish to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. This incident has opened many eyes about human capabilities." "We'd be honored," Eliza said, "though we're just researchers, not diplomats." "You are more than that," Kirella insisted. "You saw a being in need and used your minds to find a solution that respected all involved. If that is not diplomacy of the highest order, I do not know what is." As a parting gift, Kirella presented them with a small crystalline object that pulsed with soft light. "A quantum resonator," she explained. It will enhance your communications array, allowing you to contact Earth directly, despite the distance. Consider it the first exchange of technology between our peoples. After the Seraphim departed, Eliza and Marcus stood outside the outpost, watching the massive ship disappear into Proxima 6's purple-tinged sky. "You know," Marcus said, "when we signed up for this expedition, I expected to catalog alien plants and maybe some simple organisms. First contact with an advanced alien species wasn't exactly in the job description." Eliza laughed. "Neither was saving said alien from a potentially fatal reproductive cycle using a hastily constructed quantum device. Just another day for human ingenuity," Marcus replied with a grin. "Makes you wonder what else we might accomplish out here among the stars." As they turned back toward the outpost, the quantum resonator pulsed in Eliza's hand, its light seeming to echo the distant stars above. A small but significant connection between two species that had found unexpected common ground in the vast emptiness of space. In the data logs she sent back to Earth that evening, Eliza included a personal note. "What makes humans unique isn't our technology or our biology. It's our ability to see problems as opportunities, to find solutions where others see only obstacles. Today, that uniquely human perspective may have just opened the door to a profound new chapter in our species' journey among the stars." The end.